should have started now. Okay. Hi, Grace.
Hi, how are you?
It's such a pleasure to have you as a Fluff to Stuff co-host and also as our special guest for this launch meeting. Welcome and thank you.
Very, very lucky to be included as one of the people.
Yes.
I suppose the three of us have been friends for a while, so it's lovely to kind of start bringing other people into this little friendship which we have, which is so nice.
I agree.
We had such a great time with the Spin and Make Along a year, 2 years. I don't even know anymore. 2 years.
I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, I've lost track of all sense of time. So I still have not finished that project. So I'm really glad that we are doing it again because I need
yes.
a project.
So you've started now with public accountability for finishing a project from 2 years ago. That's perfect. That's a great way to kick off. For anyone who might be seeing this video on YouTube and they are not aware of you, where are you right now, physically, geographically?
I'm physically in my craft room, which is an absolute mess, but you can see the nice bit. And I'm in Limerick in the west of Ireland, in Europe.
Excellent.
And it is about 8 o'clock at night. But you know, I'm raring to go now.
Yes.
So you find me everywhere, basically on YouTube as Babbles Traveling Yarns, and on Instagram as Grace the Babbler, all one word.
Excellent.
So yeah, you can follow me there. Follow my journeys, my optimistic spinning journeys.
Perfect. And the Spin and Make Along was the origin for Fluff to Stuff. So the idea is to spin our fiber and make things with it. We would love to know, when did you start spinning and why did you start spinning?
So it's a kind of hilarious story involving lots of different people all at once, and other people might have a lot of other people have had the same type of experience. So I was traveling around Australia in 2017, and I was in Sydney, and I didn't really have any friends. So what I would do would be I would be working, working as I traveled, but I would go on meetup.com, and there was this knit group that I just trotted along to one day. One of the girls sat next to me, was like, "Oh, you're into knitting? Oh, and I was like really talking about like wool. I was really at the beginning of my knitting, really. I mean, I think I'd only been knitting maybe 3 months before landing in Sydney and sitting in a knit night. And I was just really interested in like wool. I think I was watching Jenny, actually, Tiny Paper Fox, she's there somewhere, except she's got a different name now. You'll have to remind me in the chat. But the provenance and, wool itself. And then this girl goes, my housemate has a merino sheep farm. Do you want some? I was like, okay. Didn't have a clue. Not a clue. He literally showed up barefoot in shorts with no like proper Australian farmer, showed up with 3 bags full of wool. I mean, this is fairy tale kind of children's rhyme sort of story. He was like, "There you go, mate," and chucked it in the door at me. And I was like, what do I do with these giant bags of merino fleeces? Beautiful 14 micron fleeces. For anyone who doesn't know, 14 microns is like you look at it and it felts. It's so fine. So I took it upon myself to learn how to spin this. So I bought a spindle from Ashford, which is a New Zealand company. So it was quite easy to get it in Australia. I bought one of these spindles and I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to spin 3 fleeces on a spindle. Anyway, about 2 weeks into that journey, that was not going to happen. So
you learned quickly about scale.
I learned
project
quickly
scale.
About grease mostly, and poop, and things that would be in a fleece that I didn't realize. So we had this tiny little shower. And luckily, like, it was summertime, but it was summertime in Sydney, which meant it was hot, 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 which meant it was quite actually easy to wash the fleece because the grease was actually quite like, it was loose. It's really gross, sorry. Anyone, oh, this is a spinning group, let's be honest, okay? Fleeces from sheep are not the most sanitary things. So, and it wasn't something I could spin straight from the fleece. I did need to wash it. I did need to clean it. So me and James literally sat there like really carefully filling, like blocking the shower tray so the shower tray would fill, and then like soaking it. And oh my God, it was a disaster. And I would spend ages to like pulling out the fibers, pulling out the staples, which were only about maybe 2 or 3 inches long. It was, but I did it. I knit, or I managed to spin up about like a good amount, like a good solid amount on a spindle. And I was so proud of myself, but I kept looking at these giant bags in the corner. And I had started doing my podcast, and I must have been on podcast 6 or 7 at the time. And a woman reached out to me, and Jocelyn, I'll remember her name forever. And she said, Grace, I love your podcast. And says, do you know when you're at really early stages of podcast and you're like, someone's watching? And she said, I live in Weewaw. And I'm like, and she was like, I have a wheel. Do you want it? And I was like, where is Weewaw? Wow. Can I get there? How far is it? She was like, right, well, what we'll do is we'll drive 5 hours east. And if you drive 5 hours west, we'll meet at this place with a yarn shop. And I was like, this sounds perfectly reasonable. So we met. I will never, ever forget her. She is amazing. She made her husband went with her, and James came with me. And it was a beautiful road trip, really, into like Hunter Valley, and there was vineyards and stuff. It was beautiful. And we had a camper van at the time. So we camped at this yarn store. I can't remember the name of it now, but I bought a lot of yarn there as well. And but one of the things I'll always remember is she said, she texted me on the side. She was like, by the way, you've definitely already paid me $200 for this. My husband thinks that I'm selling it. I was like, do you want me to pay for it? I will pay for it. She's like, no. So if she's ever watching the YouTube, you're sold out now, Jocelyn, sorry.
That is an awesome story. And having gotten to know you these last few years, none of that surprises me even a little bit.
I managed to ship it home to Ireland. This is Rosie. She's the Weewaw spinning wheel from Jocelyn. I managed to take her apart and ship her back to Ireland. She's an Ashford Traveller, double treadle. I'm so lucky to have gotten her. She's been through an awful lot, this girl. But yeah, I have to say I still have some of that fleece, but I did have to throw away most of it when I came home. So
yeah, reality hit.
Yeah, that's the start of it.
What I've noticed in my own spinning journey is it's not a solitary thing, even though many of us are sitting home in our space and spinning. It almost always involves someone else, even if that someone else is only the person that you got the fiber from. So it has like an automatic community. I love hearing how that started for you. A lot of that has to do with you being willing, though, to jump in.
I think it's just pure joy that someone is interested in this really niche thing. Mm-hmm. And like that it's so like knitting's not weird enough, right? You have to go into spinning, or you have to go into something else, you know. And when you find people who are also as interested in it, then you want to share that. And I think that's what I got from Jocelyn, is just she was so excited to share. And it was definitely one of my, I'll never forget it my entire life.
Excellent. So now, having moved beyond that merino fleece and done some spindle spinning and wheel spinning, what do you enjoy most about your spinning now?
I think I enjoy most just getting lost in it. Like I love the feel of it. I think once I got the feeling of it, and I sat down at that wheel that night when I got back, and I just started spinning. And because it was such a big deal with the spindle spinning and blah, 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 and I was getting there, so I just couldn't get over the speed and the rate. And it was just the feel of it through my hands. It just felt right. And there's something so satisfying about being able to turn literally fluff into something, into this thing that you can then turn into anything, well, within reason.
Yeah.
It's
So it's a tactile experience for you.
definitely a tactile. It's the motion of it's I think it's the whole body sensation of being connected to, being able to control your speed. I think it's some sort of like mindful connection right down to my toes, and it's
Nice.
lovely. Lovely.
Well, like everything, it must have an opposite. So what frustrates you about spinning? What do you not enjoy? What do you dislike? That's a good craft. If you can't think of something, you found the right craft.
What is most frustrating? Sometimes like the fiber won't play with you if it's felted or whatever, but then it turns into like a bit of an exciting challenge as to, okay, how does this fiber want to be spun? So I don't find that frustrating. I think probably the most frustrating thing is that it's so fast that then I build up so much yarn and I don't know what to do with it.
Right. Okay. So the creation of a whole other set of stash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's
But
very.
I find literally spinning is the antithesis of frustration for me.
That's excellent. That's excellent. I'm wondering if anyone who's joining us in our monthly meeting in the chat, if you agree or have other points of view, please feel free to share. And if you're watching this on the YouTubes after the fact, and you'd like to comment in response to what you've heard from Grace, please do that as well. Grace, you were thrown into it. You dove into spinning as a newbie. You just went for it and learned some things right away, it sounds like. And then you continued with it. And I think now, even as a teacher, there's another level in it for you. You've taught classes on spinning and weaving, and you've taught yourself quite a few things in those crafts. What advice would you give to new spinners? Do you have any advice for them based on what you've learned?
I think the most common thing I get from people is, oh, I'd never be good at that, or I tried once and I was terrible. I think we need to remember that nobody is great the first time. Nobody knows how to do it the first time. Let yourself be crap at something. It's fine. Like, that's how everything starts. We demand so much perfection of ourselves, and you see, like, I'd post a picture and like it's me after spinning for 4 years, and I have worked really hard to get it, and they're like, oh, it's so fine, I'd never be able to do that. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's all relative, so being just accepting that you're going to be crap at the start, it's fine.
Yeah.
Not the biggest
Yeah, it's a
deal.
good reminder to a beginner to be a beginner.
Yeah, it's just to let yourself be a beginner. It's actually quite freeing. Oh, I can be awful at this. That's fine, Yeah. Also, someone told me once the most useful thing ever was when you start, you're kind of trying to control everything. But when you actually have the fiber in your hand, when you have it in your hand, you can get like sweaty death grip, I call it. But actually one of my teachers said to me, I can't even, it might have been Liz actually. She said, Liz O'Connor, she's a fantastic spinner here in Limerick, but she basically said to hold the fiber like a baby bird and let it pull through.
Right.
Hold it so gently and just let it go. Again, it's this sort of release into being awful. It's just let it go, and it'll be okay. You'll get the feel of it eventually. But that's my main.
Right. And from what you're saying, that even that requires letting go of some expectation.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, because you're constantly like, oh, it's all about the tension and it's about this, and it's not really. You need to let that fiber in. You need to let the twist in. You need to just kind of just, if it's crap, it's fine. You know, sheep are always growing more wool. You won't wreck.
Right.
There's plenty. It's renewable resource.
True. And I would add to that, that no matter what you produce, even from your first yarns, you can make something with that.
Exactly.
There's something you can make with it.
Exactly. One person's crap yarn could be something stunning to use for rug making or weaving, or, you know, it's something really good is to hold on to whatever you make at the start. And what I've seen is some people making weavings out of it, using their weaving as a timeline. So they'll weave their first ever yarn, and then you can see the progression as you get better.
Oh, wow.
A little sample, like just like 10, not even 10 grams, to be honest, only 5 grams or whatever. And it's such a lovely thing to keep track of. So if you are at the beginning, lucky you, because you can get to do that. I think I would do that if I did it again.
And if you, that's a great suggestion. If you don't weave yourself, you now have something you can gift to someone who does, if they would like to use it that way. It's awesome. Thank you, Grace.
No.
That's such a good connection for us. I feel like a lot of what you've said is relatable. Many of the folks who knew about the spin and make along and wanted to join in again have probably progressed in their spinning journey to some point, but they're in a state like all of us where something in the craft is still unknown to them. So I appreciate that really good advice. Mina, have we got some questions in the chat? I'm going to set it up so we can all see each other again. And if we have some chat questions, please feel free, and let's hear some more from Grace.
Okay, Grace. Quick fire question. No, it's a 6 questions, so it's not that bad. Okay, so first up, I just copy and pasted the questions into a Word document, so it was easier for me to like find them. So I can't remember who posted which ones, but the first question was about your story about your wheel. So it was like 2 incredible opportunities or circumstance. The fiber community is so lovely. Would you consider Jocelyn or another interaction one of your favorite meetings / interactions in the fiber community?
Oh, there's so many wonderful meetings in the fiber community, but I do have to say Jocelyn does stand out. She is so, just her kindness was so astronomical to me at the start. And then I just like people reaching out randomly. I remember I traveled from Tasmania through Canada, then New York, all the way back to Edinburgh. And it was just from people, like people were asking me, oh my God, if you're traveling back, do you want to stay with me? I live in like Penticton, or I live in Vancouver, and I live in, like I stayed with, who did I stay with? Shamika in New York, you know, and it was just, there's so, I don't know if I have a favorite, but I do know that every single person that I meet has a huge, profound influence on me. It just brings such a lovely, I don't know, we all have some, it's just such a lovely connection, and you find out so much more about not just knitting, you find out more about the people behind, you know, their own story, and oh, I love it. Sure, I can't stop talking to people though, okay. That's the problem.
Okay, next question. Did you ever consider another raw fleece with poop after the first experience? Or just raw fleece in general?
I wasn't traumatized. Do I have it? I do. Now this this actually is a I think, do you want to pop me on big screen actually, because I think, Mina, you're pinned at the moment.
Oh, I might. No, you should be pinned. Oh, I can see you, so
okay, perfect. So this is thanks. This is actually a Romney fleece from, oh, actually Sandra, you might know this one. He's a farmer there somewhere in Tipperary. I don't know. He's an Irish farmer, and I got this beautiful grey Romney fleece, and I spun this in the grease. This fleece was brown. I thought it was going to be a lovely caramel color, and then I spun it, and then I washed it, and it turned out grey. So it smells lovely now, but while I was spinning it the whole time, that brown was not an integral color.
In
So
the
good.
Grease Plus.
In the Grease Plus, I have never had softer hands, and you know what, my immune system has definitely thanked me for this.
Okay, so moving on, is kind of a relevant follow-on question, is what is your favorite way or ways to prep fiber and or manage color when you're spinning?
I do love a rolag. I love making rolags, maybe spinning from them, not so much actually, because they kind of, actually I started prepping them properly when I saw you doing it properly. I was like, I've been doing this wrong this whole time. I find bats can kind of get a little bit, the control, they're good for arch yarn, but I find them quite difficult to manage if I want to do proper. I think do you know what I prefer the most is actually lock by lock over the
Okay.
yeah, lock by lock. I did it for a project that I was going to knit my wedding dress out of. It was a BFL in silk.
Oh yes, I remember you doing that. Whilst you
That
started it, I remember that.
so nice, but then the cats got at it and it was devastating. But yes, literally I got from the fleece and I literally pulled it, or no, it wasn't from the fleece, it was from like just commercial roving. I got it and I would spin just like that, and I got like beautiful worsted weight yarn. It was lovely, very nice. I think that's my favorite moment. It changes.
Okay. Next question, sorry, we had a few extra ones added on, so it's a few more than 6 now. Are there any resources you found useful when you first began spinning?
I absolutely was obsessed with JC Boggs Faulkner Craftsy class, From Worsted to Woolen.
Yep,
incredible.
that was a really good one for me as well, I remember.
Also Felicia Lowe has a really good craftsy class on color, spinning with color. Very good for color management and things like that. Very good. Yeah.
Good to know. All right, so I already asked that one. Do you have a favorite thing to watch or listen to while spinning?
I am currently reading a lot of audiobooks. I am also listening to podcasts. My favorite podcast at the moment is The Creep Dive, and what's the other one? Not Without My Sister. Fabulous Irish podcasts. Probably not safe for work though, but I love them. That's what, yeah. And or just watching anything on. We just finished Legends of Korra. Does that count? I spin all the time and I watch everything because it's easy. You know, you can just. I'm not very kind of focused on what's happening. I'm intuitive, so I can watch anything, so it's nice.
It's really nice when you get to that stage in your spinning journey where you can just spin intuitively and you're not. Well, it depends, I guess, on what you're spinning, really. Sometimes you have to really think about it if it's not your default. That's the other thing as well. It's like you can spin intuitively when it's your default.
I just spin my default and I'll throw in an extra ply or I won't ply, depending on what I need. Because spinning something like deliberately thinner or thicker than I need, than I want, than I like naturally want to go to, it's really stressful for me, so I don't like it. Maybe that's what's frustrating. That's what's frustrating for me.
Trying to spin a specific thickness.
I can't.
That's fine, not a problem. Do what you like.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. What % of the time do beans and toast get in your way when spinning versus just being so cute and sweet?
So at the start, Beans was really small and he would sit on my lap and he would be rocked to sleep with my legs.
For those who may not be as obsessed with you as we all are, who are Beans and Toast?
I'll show you. I have a portrait. I just know what to do. This is Beans. This is Beans and this is Toast. Beans on toast. So yeah, Beans only likes single breed rare fleeces. He has very specific taste. Toast likes to chew the actual wire. Can't give you a percentage because most of the time they're asleep or arguing with each other.
It's good, at least they keep each other out of your way. Okay, so what's the next question? What's your favorite sheep breed to work with?
I do love Romney. I do love Romney, and I just saw Sandra at Romney Farmers in County Tipperary. I just love the feel of it. I love Cardale as well. It's a little bit finer, but it's not as fine as like a super fine merino. I was spinning Shetland there for a while, which was quite nice. A little crunchier, but really nice. Romney, BFL silk blends, possibly my fave. Yeah.
I think I have a braid. I have one of your braids of BFL silk that you dyed in my stuff to be spun for this year. So I'm like,
I still have a bag of it waiting to be dyed, and I'm like, will I just keep it all for myself?
why not?
Why not? Oh, Cardale.
Okay.
That's nice too.
So we've got 2 more questions, unless any more pop up in the chat. So the next one is, what is your favorite fiber child? Words: knitting, spinning, or weaving?
Oh, how could you do this to me?
Not my question. So I put it out there. Someone else has asked.
My babies. Okay, so knitting you can take anywhere. It is very handy, as it's quite useful. So yeah, I love. I don't know if I can actually choose, because every single one has like a specific love of mine. So you've got your portability, so you can use it knit it anywhere. The spinning is definitely for mindful relaxation, and then the weaving is kind of like for a quick project, although I've got something on there for about 2 months now. I don't know if I can choose. For making me feel really good, spinning. I've done it. I've chosen. I did it.
It's fine to have different things that fit different purposes. Like, I'm the same as I agree with you with that. Like, knitting is easy to fit in around everything else you're doing in life, whereas with spinning you kind of have to be very intentional about actually sitting down and doing it.
Yeah, it means you have time off to do it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I see where you're getting at with that. Okay, so last question that I have is, what's your favorite finished object you've made using handspun?
Oh, I kind of expected this one. This is my baby. This is my cardigan. And this is a hand-spun, hand-woven kind of an outfit. So I spun the warp, and then I spun a gradient. These are actually 2 gradients which then joined in the middle. And it was quite like organized and thought out for me. Normally I don't. So this is actually, I'd say maybe 2 or 3 years old now, and it is just amazing. It is just lovely. I loved it so much. So it basically was a it was a big long warp of hand spun, and I cut it
one long strip.
Yeah, one long strip, and I cut it into 4 pieces and then just sewed it together.
It's beautiful.
It's all the dark blue warp, or the dark blue thread, kind of going this direction. John Arbon, and it has that lovely kind of jewel tone blue, which really makes it lovely. It's washing out a tiny bit in the light, but it is absolutely gorgeous. And I'm probably the most proud of this one, because it's hand spun with the warp. It did shred a couple of times, so I did have to do a little bit of surgery on the actual warp threads, but it held, and it's really nice.
Yay. So, okay, we actually have one last question that's just been popped in from Susanna, and she asks, it seems like so many people in your life are really supportive of your dive into fibercrafts. Has that been pretty true overall, or do you have some friends, relatives, etc., who just don't get it?
Oh yeah. Oh, there'll always be people who think I'm mad, and I think there'll always be people who think you're mad whatever you do. I do have, like, my lovely husband James is very supportive, because he spends loads of money on his computers, so it's fine. Balance it out, and it's all my money, so I don't mind. I think a lot of people kind of don't understand what I do and why I do it. And then they see the podcast and then they're like, oh, it's a thing. I'm like, yeah, it's a thing. People, I think, don't understand things unless they see numbers involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I get that. Yeah, it's funny.
But loads of people don't get it, I don't expect people to get it, you know, but I have my community right here. So I don't mind.
I mean, there's plenty of things in the world that like I don't get. Like, I don't understand my husband's fascination with like car engines.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but it's the thing that he enjoys. So
James has made his computer 6 times. I'm like, I'm sure the one time would do, wouldn't it?
everyone has their thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's it for the questions. So I think, Mars, we can probably end the recording now. So for anyone who's watching on YouTube, thank you so much for joining. And hopefully you'll be able to make a meeting one month. Otherwise, the recordings will be on the YouTube channel each month. So if everyone else, if you don't know, we do have a Fluff to Stuff YouTube channel where these interviews, will be posted. It should be linked in the Instagram page and on Ravelry as well, but it's literally, if you just type in Fluff to Stuff on YouTube, you should find it.
And if you are watching on YouTube and you'd like to join us and get to know some of these fantastic fiber folks, please check the description box below the YouTube video, and there will be information about how you can register to be part of our monthly meetings. Big thanks to you, Grace.
No problem.
Thank you, Grace.